Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 81 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2019. Thank you all so much for being along for the ride with me today. Our tangle today is called Twile, and it is by Leslie Scott-Gilliland. And if you struggle with this, Adele Bruno at tickledtotangle.com has a tips to tangle on this that might help out. But I'm going to show you what's easiest for me. I don't think it's very difficult, but you know, everyone has their areas that are hard for them and their areas that are easier. So this is going to start out with a square grid. Well, I never quite get these the right length. All right, square grid. Yeah. Now, I want you to go in the center of each of these squares. Draw another little square and just black it in. Try to keep your squares about the same place. Your little squares about the same place along. Not that it has to be. You can shift it up. I have not had time to play with this at all. This is also, this pattern was deconstructed by Rick and Maria based on a doormat they had seen on their travels somewhere, but they had not published a step out. And this is according to Linda Farmer's article about this pattern on tanglepatterns.com, where we try to choose all of our patterns from there so that the step outs are readily available to everyone. And so it was interesting to know that they had not published a step out for this pattern, but they had used it in some artwork they had done. And so Leslie Scott-Gilliland, I guess, sent in this pattern to Linda before they got, before Rick and Maria got around to doing a step out for it. So Linda went ahead and published it under Leslie's name called Twile, and Rick and Maria had called this Stoic. All right, zoom in a little bit for this next part. You can see my messy squares. Okay, now we're going to do one of these numbers here. We're going to go up here in each box so that each of these square lines are following this. Many patterns, there are a lot of patterns that have this component in them. So if you're not comfortable with this, let me show you. Adele Bruno on her tips to tangle this says start on the left and draw this line up to the edge of the box. So this would be starting left and drawing up to the edge. Okay, next go in order and draw your next line to the side. So you're just continuing the sides of the square going each direction, although I haven't done a very good job of that in this particular square. And we're going to continue that with each side, I'm sorry guys, with each side of this square. You know, the weather has heated up really badly where I am, and if I get too hot, I shake really badly. Well, worse than usual. And so that has been a real problem for me the last few days. All right, so we're going to repeat this, hopefully do a better job. So starting on the left, and then going clockwise, and drawing each side of that square out to the line, okay? And then keep going, just carry it on in order, like that. Okay, starting on the left, going in order, just each side of that square out to the line. And I know you guys are going to have really beautiful examples of this. My example is going to be, it's going to be an opportunity. So we like those. At least I do, apparently. All right, let's take an opportunity to move on here. So this part, I can understand how it could be confusing, but it's really, if you go in order, follow the sides of your square to the grid line, going in clockwise order, it's going to work out for you. I hope. If it doesn't and you have struggles, drop me a comment and I'll see if I can help. Now, the next part of this is pretty easy too, and I don't want you to get confused. This one is supposed to be more rectangly, and what I have here is confusing. So, excuse me, we're going to start over here. You want to add 2 lines to this following the rectangular side of this. So, on the long side, you want to draw these lines in. And I'm going to do all of mine. Well, the step out has 2 lines, and I apparently am going to add some more there. So just mark this like this, and you can put as many lines in here as your heart desires. The beauty of Zentangle is there is no right and wrong. There is no up and down. There is only beautiful art and appreciating it and getting some zen and relaxation while you create it. And that is a beautiful gift. One of these days I'm going to talk about something controversial, but I'm too new out of the gate right now. I don't want to go crazy. I just saw a comment somewhere that sort of incensed me on another YouTube video. Is actually, well, I tell you what you can do. If you really want to know about this subject, you can go look at Molly Hollabaw's Arukas video. It's here on YouTube. And you can check out the comments there, and I left a reply to one of them, and I will just leave it at that. Because people jump to conclusions without complete information, and it is frustrating to me. All right. Oops, I'm going to put an extra one in there. And you can do that. Now, you're just going to do the same thing going the other direction. I just try to do all of the same direction at the same time because, of course, you get more consistent pen strokes. Of course, that ship has sailed long ago with me. I do not get much consistency, except that they are consistently wiggly. Also, not a bad thing. Now, on the step out, she does not have these lines bisecting this or tries. Okay, there are none of these arid lines inside the rectangles, but she has a monotangle on there that does have them, and so you can have these lines or not, whichever you prefer. And I am really, really needing to slow down today. You know, yesterday's Arukas video was very, very frustrating for me. I know you guys are, well, let's face it, you guys watch about 40% of these videos. Some of you are very good about that, but most people are watching about 40%, 35 to 40%. So I try not to make them too long, but Arukas was tough, and I think I won't do many tiles on here because for these things, because it takes so much time that I feel like you guys don't have. So I apologize for the length of today's video. You know, Don't forget that on YouTube you have the ability to play these back at double speed if they go too slowly for you. So check that out. Depending on whether you're on mobile or not, it's that is on the little three dots next to the video, like up at the top or the bottom or wherever. So you can change the playback speed if you didn't know that. All right, so this is a pretty big mess line-wise, but we're going to go ahead and shade it. And she had some tips for that. She said, Leslie did, she said shade along the short side of each of these. And that would, of course, be where they look like they're going underneath the next square, if you will. So it's basically how you do the Huggins, which is basically to put graphite down on each side. Now that's, for a larger space, that's going to work fine. I think in our pattern we might have some problems with that. And I, frankly, am sort of sitting here, forgive the term, noodling. That's again. Yeah, that's my part of the country, guys. Thank you for appreciating me anyway. But so I was sitting here thinking, well, if I didn't put these lines in, because as you can see, they're pretty tough for me. Oh, that's kind of messy, isn't it? So I was wondering if I didn't do that, what else I could do with this. This does look pretty simply shaded without the lines. I don't know. Let's put it in the pattern for today. Shading along the short sides is easy to remember. So I think that's how we'll address that. And you tell me, if this was neater, it would probably look cool. All right. I'm going to get the pattern out. I'm going to put it in there and be done with day 80. Holy crap, 81. I need to stop saying that. Let's fill in our hole down here. All right, so we need a square grid. Thank God. I usually can get those in. And if they're a little bit off, it's not usually too bad. Let's see if I can get this in the picture. All right, that's better. That was a fairly clean R line. I'm going to try not to get too excited about that. There's still time to mess them up, isn't there, guys? All right. All right, square grid. I think I'll start with my horizontal lines first, because I have trouble judging those. I'm not going to make these squares too small either. That just spells mess to me frequently. All right, now I'm going to square this straight down. Actually, that's not bad. And I think I will take this line from my inner aura and make a very wiggly line down there. It would have been pretty good if that had been straight, huh? All right, so next I'm going to put in my little black squares and try really hard not to let them get progressively larger, because that is a habit that I have, that I noticed that we did when we were doing Taiga, that video. I noticed when I edited that my thorns got exponentially larger the further I went around, and so I was laughing. I need to work on that. All right. So if you guys have missed what I'm going to do when I run out of these spaces in 3 more days, I am going to use a technique that was done in the latest project pack. I think that's 05, the Cartouche project pack. And the videos are free here on YouTube for everyone. And I am going to use the technique that Julie Willand did to do the little frame around her dog, which was basically make diva dance into a reticula. And so I think that's what I'm going to do around the edges of this, and make hopefully 16 more sections. Wouldn't it be awful if I got to 98 and didn't have enough room for the last two? That'd be awful. Okay, so start on your left, go straight up, and then follow that clockwise, extending each side of the square to the line. Okay, left, follow each side of the square to the line. Well, I'm gonna say this is going pretty well, but I'm afraid to jinx myself. So, mazel tov. I don't know what that means. It's supposed to be good. One of you guys that knows can drop some information on me. Oops. Well, I have to make these curly because it has to match this line down here. Well, and that is the key. If you make what you consider a mistake or have an opportunity, as I like to call them, then see if you can repeat it. Maybe you'll come up with something different. Maybe you won't. You just never know. All right, so I'm gonna approximately there, and this one will be here. I think I tried too hard on that one. Okay. This is actually pretty cool. You know, you could put two wavy lines in these. You could fill them with orbs, but I think you'd lose your pattern that way. Interesting possibilities. However, I have learned the hard way that... Stop, Cindy. I've learned the hard way that those opportunities sometimes go south for me. So I'm going to go with the straight line method. I can only fit one of those here. And just remember, your lines go long ways. And it does not need to be perfect. And that message, as always, is for me too. Someone gave me the advice of holding my breath as I start my strokes and breathing out as you end. I have been trying to practice that. And it does seem to help me if I can remember. So that's another thing for those of you who have shaking problems like I do. And I told you guys to do them all the same direction at once for consistency, and you see that I am not doing that. So at least I try to share best practice. I do not promise that I'm going to do it, though. I have found that adaptive techniques are so closely related to what you're dealing with that, you know, sometimes they'll work for you and sometimes they won't. Now, I want to put a little line weight here, which is dangerous for me because of the shaking, to sort of take away some of my stray lines, but also to sort of emphasize this break here. And then I think I'm just going to re-emphasize my grid lines. All right. Mr. Jelly and Roll and I are going to have a date for this, but I am again going to save that for later. Now, shading. Now I'm going to go easy. Well, I say I'm going to go easy. I'm going to try to go easy on the graphite here because I don't think this needs a lot, but I think the shading is definitely going to enhance a sort of a weaved look on this without weaving at all. And the way this starts, I just remembered that this starts exactly like the original Tangle W2, which is also a woven thing along the lines of Huggins. It's basically Huggins with squares. And so, you know, check those out. When you start seeing the similarities between the tangles, you're starting to internalize them, I believe. It's at that point that when you draw a tangle and it immediately sends you on a trip to another tangle, that's really where you want to go with these. It's not about all the new tangle learning, though again, I do love learning new tangles. It's about freeing your mind and allowing your creativity to be in control instead of your brain. And that's one of the great things about this, is it allows your brain, and that's what Rick and Maria really discovered, and that's the essence of the Zentangle method, is allowing your brain to shut down and become focused on the individual strokes, which means you're able to let go of some of your stress. And when you can do that, it's very much like mindfulness. The experience of losing yourself in tangling is very much like mindfulness. And if you have trouble with mindfulness because you can't sit still, then this might be a really good alternative for you. You know, the blending could take some time on this. And again, try not to put graphite over your black areas because it creates a shine when you put it over the ink. Sometimes it's hard to avoid. I mean, it does happen. But that shine really bugs me. Of course, that is just me. I want you guys to make this art form what works for you. And so many people are worried about doing something wrong. I will tell you again, you cannot do this wrong. Whatever you come out with is perfect. Whatever you come out with, guys, is perfect. And Cindy, that message is for me too. So this is Twile for day 81. Thank you so much for being with me. You guys need to tune in for the next few days because we're going to find out what happens for day 85 through 100. Thank you for being with me today, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 82.